I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. On this episode, I talked to Kendall and McKenzie Albert from St. Louis, Missouri. They're campus ministry leaders, and they're also speakers at the campus training program in Marietta, Georgia. My wife Pam and I have gone to Marietta, Georgia for the campus training program for our first time to sharpen the saw and get better at campus ministry. And they've done an amazing job, and I look forward to sharing their insights as they talk about John 14, Jesus being the way. And they talk about loving sacrificially and how to make your campus ministry grow, how to get it growing, and how to love like Jesus. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. I am here with Kendall and McKenzie Albert. They are the campus ministry leaders in the St. Louis Church of Christ. And I'm also here with my beautiful wife, Pam Skinner. It is her birthday today.
Yes, it is. Happy birthday. Yeah, it's great to be here.
And we are in Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah.
On the north side of Atlanta, okay? And we are here for the campus training program. I really wanted to come out with my wife and learn more about campus ministry, to tune up, to try to sharpen the saw, so to speak, and get better so that we can have an amazing campus ministry at the University of Arizona. And Kendall and McKenzie were the kickoff speakers. They were the headliners tonight. It's Wednesday, May 18th, and always a great day in my family with my wife's birthday. And you can hear some of the noise outside from all the college students that have gathered for this conference. But Kendall and McKenzie, great to have you guys on the program.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Especially on your birthday.
I know.
I feel so honored.
I know it. I really appreciate my wife's sacrifice for the kingdom to come out here on her birthday. She's awesome.
No, I'm happy to be here. This has been great.
I know. Well, you guys did an amazing job tonight, and we're going to talk more about your lesson. But I would like to find out, how'd you guys become Christians?
Yeah, so my parents became Christians in college, and so I grew up in the church. And when I was in middle school, I studied the Bible, and I became Christian in 8th grade in St. Louis.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
In 2003.
In 2003, yeah.
Okay, who was leading the church then?
I think it was John Lusk. It might be Kurt Simmons.
Yeah. Barry Lusk is my best friend.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they are. So
Yeah.
does that make that plug?
Okay.
I became a disciple in 2008. I was on campus. It's always fun to share who your visitors will bring out. So I was just brought out by a visitor. So
Wow.
I stayed. They did not, but that's okay.
That happens.
I love
you
that.
never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grateful for that time. So that was my freshman year of college at a community college here in Marietta, Georgia. Literally 10 minutes down the road. So it's weird to be back here for sure. So yeah, that was 14 years ago. Grew up very religious.
Okay. So how'd you guys get together?
So I had transferred back from Boston University and started going to Kennesaw, and she had transferred from her community college and started going to Kennesaw. And so we met on campus at a Bible talk and started leading Bible talks together.
It took him 2.5 years to like me.
Whoa, that's what I was going to ask.
I waited very patiently.
Wow, Mackenzie, that's a long time.
It is.
Bro, you're lucky. You're a lucky guy.
I am.
Wow. You're obviously happily married. And
Yes,
Yeah.
9 years almost.
9 years.
years.
And you have how many
With
kids?
3 kids.
Wow.
2 girls and a boy. Boys in the middle.
Let's see.
Wow.
Anna, Finn, and Ava.
Yes.
Ooh,
Wow.
Great
Good
memory
job.
from tonight.
Yeah, great memory.
Great names. Love those names.
Yeah, those are great names.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you guys are in the campus ministry. Where have you served?
So we started actually going in the campus ministry here at North River. We were at Georgia State for a couple years, and then we moved up to Nashville. We were there for 6.5 years, in the campus ministry and in the church, and then almost 18 months ago, we moved to St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay. So Nashville. Do you know Brian Mackey?
They do.
Yeah.
I already asked him. They know Brian.
Yeah, so-
Yes.
So Brian moved right before or right after, and he was when we were leading the campus ministry. He interned for a couple years, and it was awesome. It was some of the best times I had in Nashville were with Brian, and lots of memories. And I always try and convince him to come wherever I am. And I don't think that'll ever happen.
worked
again.
We love Brian. Brian
We
is
do.
leading the planting now in Flagstaff, Arizona, and is doing a great job with his
we love them.
wonderful wife, Abby. But he talks about you, and those are some great memories for him, obviously. But I'm just wanting to know, is there any dirt you can share about Brian? Okay, well, maybe we'll just hold off
All
on
right.
that.
Yeah, that's another time. Yeah. We love you, Brian and Abby. You guys are awesome.
But that's great. Nice connection there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the campus training program.
Yeah.
McKenzie, you've been here pretty much since the beginning. I mean, maybe you weren't here the first year, but what is this program? Because I've heard about it a little bit, but really not super familiar. This is my first time.
Yeah.
And I think for our listeners, maybe they've never been to this. Can you talk about what it is and why it even exists?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely evolved over, I mean, I don't remember when the very first one was.
I
Maybe
think it was 07.
Was it 07?
Or 06.
Maybe it was 06. Longer period of time. But I know for me, I think specifically as a student, what was so impactful was just getting to know the Word of God. I felt like you memorized scriptures, you went out and did things that you probably would never do, and they would challenge you. So I think it was just a way to get a lot done in a very short amount of time when you're young and you're excited about life.
Right.
And I was, I became a Christian. I was very timid to begin with, and I felt like this just excited me. So I think personally it grew more and more love for the ministry because I felt like, oh, we can all do it. It wasn't just necessarily for people who, I want to go into ministry and I can't imagine doing anything else. It was for anybody. We everyone can be a leader. Everyone is in the ministry. Not everyone will be in the paid ministry, but
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest benefits, that it's everyone in the campus. How can you be a great campus student
Right.
in this short amount of time?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a really special time, I would
It is,
say,
yeah.
campus ministry. So that's some of the personal stuff I've definitely taken from it the
That's
past
cool.
14 years.
So has it always been students from outside of North
Yes.
River? Has it always been from the beginning? Because we're meeting students from Gainesville and
Yes.
Miami
Yes.
and
Boston.
all over. And I'm like, wow, this is really a special
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's definitely had ebbs and flows of lots of people out of town, not as many people, more people just in the Southeast. So, but yeah, different people. I remember one of the first few, a bunch of people from Texas came, which is, Arizona, a drive away.
Right,
That's
right.
far.
Right.
I think people even from St. Louis came once upon a time. So it's just kind of it's gotten, everyone's kind of come. And even St. Louis was inspired by it. And that's how I think their MIT started. And so it's just cool, how it's morphed into different things, even among our churches.
Right, exactly. So how many times have you come, Kendall?
I think my first year was 09. So I went for, 11 years until 2019, and this would be my 12th year.
Wow.
So you're an old vet along with Jordan Massey.
Yeah, a little bit.
You really called him out tonight.
Oh, you did. That was funny.
Was that really him?
Was that
you
a
were
true
describing?
story?
100%.
It
Wow.
probably was an understatement, as he said. if I'm
Really?
being honest.
Because I'm like, no,
You
they're
said-
just
God
joking.
transforms.
You said you met a guy coming into church,
It was annoying.
baggy shorts, underwear showing, wife beater that was dirty, and high tops.
Yeah.
And chasing the girls.
And only chasing girls. It was... We were worried, and it's amazing how God can transform lives.
Wow, I'm inspired.
He doesn't look like that today. Not at all. I mean,
No.
oh my
Nah,
gosh, that's
he left that
crazy.
behind.
What a transformation.
That is hilarious.
Well, I want to talk about your lesson. You guys did a great job. The title is Jesus is the Way. Now, is that the theme of this entire conference as well? Okay, so you had the headliner lesson. One of the things that really hit me right off the bat is, McKenzie, you said it's more important for many people to be genuine than to be true. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I feel like even as disciples, when we study the Bible, it's easy to go, they're just so genuine, but the truth still matters.
Right.
And that's hard because you're like, oh, they're so genuine. They really want to love God. But if they can't accept the truth, they're
Right.
missing the whole point.
Right.
Really, there is one way to Jesus.
Right, because that was the theme, is John chapter 14:6, where he says,
Right.
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
Yeah.
When you look back on the lesson, what were you trying to get across, Kendall? What was the main thrust of this whole lesson?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, Christianity's simple. It's love like Jesus, and I think that's what we're trying to come across is, it's all about loving like Jesus. And his way works. When we love that way, everything falls into place. And I think it's so easy, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but it's easy to overcomplicate things. It's
Right.
easy to, think, oh, it's this or that, or try and be creative instead of just be like Jesus and,
Right.
and love that way.
Yeah, I was really inspired by the lesson. And when you started off and said that kind of this generation doesn't like to do hard things, we talked about that. And it's like, wow, it's really true.
Yeah.
But if we're going to do things Jesus's way, right, and not our own way, it's going to be tough.
I know. Well, I just was cracking up because McKenzie was saying, this generation is like, oh, that's too hard, or
Yeah.
it's trying not to work. Or I think about the book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week. It is really like the idea, like how can I set up my life so I can retire in a couple years
Right.
and then not, retire to Aruba or something like that.
Right.
That's the goal.
It's true. That's the goal, to not work hard. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
I felt like you really had the pulse of what's going on in this generation without
Yeah.
being, old-fashioned, I guess. Like, oh, social media is bad or anything like that. But that was really excellent. Then you just went in and you backtracked into John 13, loving like Jesus did, and Jesus is washing his disciples' feet. Pam, what did you think about when McKenzie said her default setting is vacation, social media, and shopping?
I could not relate to that at all. I thought, who is that woman? What? No. I don't know if you nudged me or you looked over at me. I was like, oh, Mackenzie, have you been like following me around? I was like, no. Yeah, that was very convicting.
I mean, it was really powerful. You said Jesus chose to love, though he knew everyone in that room would betray him
Yeah.
or desert him. And can you talk a little bit about that, what you were trying to communicate there?
Yeah. It is so hard. I mean, I've been betrayed. I've been lied to, and people will be like, someone said this about you on campus, so I don't want anything to do with you. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even have a chance.
Right.
And I just can't imagine, Jesus had that in a lot more.
Right.
And yet he still loved.
Right.
I mean, he washed all those people's feet and they all left him. I think it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
I just want the perfect scenario and everything to go smoothly. Again, coming
gosh.
back to that,
Yeah.
I don't want anything difficult.
Exactly. That just blew my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. She's reading my mind. And,
Yeah.
and I've heard that so many times where, I mean, you want to study the Bible with people, you want them to make it, but almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
You're like, hope this person's, hope they're going to
Yep.
make it. I hope
Yep.
they have the right response. And there's so much tension
Yeah.
because you're like, how much am I going to give of my heart?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it was really interesting. You guys shared a lot of great examples about, you shared about Jordan, you shared about your friend Shaylee getting baptized. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it was it was really encouraging. I don't think I expected to learn as much, which sounds terrible, but it's just real. I think God's always doing something in our lives and just wanting me to open my eyes, basically. But yeah, I think I just I would have never predicted the outcome that happened, especially the involvement Kendall and I have had in this girl's life with her feet. Kendall studied the Bible with her fiance, and he became a disciple. And then they asked us to do their marriage counseling. Then they asked Kendall to officiate the wedding.
That's so cool.
And then they asked Anna, our daughter, to be the flower girl. I was just the first day I met her, I was like, I don't, is this going to happen? Maybe it'll take forever.
Right.
It's like an excuse. It'll just be a long time.
Right.
Right.
There's no time. God will
Right.
do what God wants to do. So I just feel my faith increase that wow, God's McKenzie, just come with me.
Right.
Come and see.
Right.
This is going to be great.
Right.
And so I just feel like I I want that heart. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to love and not let my feelings get in the way.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I love that. Yeah, especially coming out of COVID when there has been a lot of disappointments where, honestly, being in the ministry, it's just like,
Right.
we're looking for some bright spots here, and
Right.
I was really challenged by what you talked about and really inspired that I totally need to have that attitude towards the
Right.
Bible studies and not just go, oh, this person isn't open. Oh, nope, I'm going to have somebody else do it. Oh, no. And to embrace the hard,
Right.
to embrace the difficult. I was like,
Right.
ooh, yeah.
I wasn't quite expecting that level of impact coming into the lesson tonight. I was like,
Wow.
that is just totally what I need to extend my heart and to be vulnerable and to realize, okay, I could totally get, wrecked here in this relationship. The person may not be open
Right.
or he may be open, but as long as I'm afraid of really giving myself, then nothing at all is going to happen.
Right.
And I think many, many Christians, many leaders are in that situation where it's like, I'm just not going to try.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
play it safe. But then everything is so boring as a Christian.
Yeah,
in a
right.
way,
So
you know? Because you're just sitting around doing a bunch of paperwork, sitting in front of your computer, doing
Right.
nothing. So
Right.
That's the worst.
it absolutely okay.
That
Let's move on here. I mean, you guys were cracking me up. Kendall, I really love the part in your lesson. Your wife was building you up, and you said, "My husband." Well, you're talking a little bit about it. You said you must intentionally be with people
Right. That was great.
if you're going to have the compassion that Jesus. If you want to love people like Jesus did, you have to actually be with them. And then you went in and talked about how you get involved in intramurals, clubs. You go to the gym, not when there's nobody there, but when it's actually busy.
Right. That was good.
You set up a dodgeball night
Yeah.
that got co-opted by a fraternity. You set it up and they liked it so much they ended up booting you out. And then this just blew my mind. You actually went out there with people LARPing.
I know. I asked the girl next to me, I said, do you know what LARPing is? She goes, no. And then she asked the girl next to her, and they gave us a definition.
So everyone knows what LARPing is. You just might not know what it's called. It's those people who dress up and have swords and they hit each other.
Oh.
It's live action role playing.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
Oh, that's where you get LARP.
LARP. Live
Okay, that
action
takes that's a lot of sacrifice, Kendall, right there.
Yeah, so I'd be the only guy
Man,
not like in
sacrifice.
medieval gowns, just grabbing a sword hitting people.
Wow.
I mean, I was just like, wow, this guy really is doing all things
Yeah.
for all people.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. Like McKenzie shared a little bit about your husband and his. That's not really his nature. Can you go into that?
Yeah. Any moment to lift Kendall up, I
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah, I love that.
He didn't know I was
yes.
going to do it. I snuck it in there.
Yeah. Way to go.
But yeah, I think Kendall really has overcome a lot of that because, his natural tendency is I don't want to be around people. I don't care what you think. I don't need your opinions. And just how much he goes after to just, that's not Jesus' way. Jesus, like, I care about you. Like, oh, you like this, I'll do it. You like to play D&D, I will learn how to do it. And he's done that,
Wow.
I'm not very good at this game, or I'm not good at that. He goes for it, and I'm just so impressed because I'm kind of like, it's hard to do that.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
So I think he's more of, honestly, a people person than I am. And I'm an extrovert, and I want to be around people, be around the crowd. But he's trained his mind so much that that's his default, is to be like Jesus.
Right.
Wow.
I love that about him.
Wow. Yeah.
Baby, what did you think about when McKenzie said you got to push the walls of your heart and not live within your limitations?
Oh, that was a great point. Because it's really easy just to be comfortable. It's really easy to just go, nope, this is how much I'm going to push. And no, I really appreciated that. That was convicting. I got to pray for a bigger heart for people. So,
I
yeah.
mean, I was just like, wow. That's where it's really challenging because I think for me as an older person, I mean, I'm still my prime, baby.
You are, honey. You are absolutely
But
in your prime.
I'm not in my 20s any longer.
No, you're not. But
so
that's okay. You're better.
I
You're
can make a
better
lot
than
of
when you were in your
excuses,
20s.
and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of excuses that we can make. I've got kids, or I'm not that type of a person. I don't LARP. I'm not interested in that.
Don't either.
But there's so many things
Yeah.
like that we can go, that's not me. And so I'm not going to do it. but that's not the way Jesus was.
Right.
And you finish by saying we're following a crucified man, and we need to love sacrificially. I mean, very simple. It's not rocket science. It's not like I've never heard that before, but you're actually doing it. Can you talk a little bit about your ministry there in St. Louis, how it's going? Give me some highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we moved 18 months ago to St. Louis. We haven't been there very long, and it's a building because the campus ministry, because of COVID, because of just things, it kind of dwindled down, and so we got there. We started leading it about a year ago, and there was 2 girls, and they had only known COVID campus ministry, so they didn't know anything. And we got to campus, and we get on the campus, and there's 30 people there. They were still in COVID protocol for basically this whole year. It's still been, so it's been crazy. But we've had to really try. Okay, well, how do we?
Okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
So there's two people on campus. There's 2 students,
So 2
or there's
students?
30 students.
2.
There's 2 girls and 2 guys.
2 girls now, and there's two guys.
When
now.
you walk down, there's 4 disciples total.
When we moved to St. Louis, there were
Yeah.
2 freshman guys.
On which campus are we talking?
It's University of Missouri St. Louis.
Okay.
And so it's been, but they didn't know anything about campus ministry, and so we've tried to spend this last year really trying to instill faith, and none of them go to school there. So actually we have 0 students on the campus, and so getting them to drive the 30 minutes to 45 minutes to come on campus to share their faith, and it's I think we're learning a lot of, okay, well, how do we instill faith when they haven't seen it before.
Right.
And so we spent the last year really building, really teaching them, okay, this is how you set up a Bible study, this is how you share your faith, and it's been really great. We're still trying to build, and so we're hoping. There's a guy who, if we would have been here this weekend, probably would have gotten baptized. We're hoping by the time we get back, he'll get baptized, and
Amen.
it's gonna be really great. And but yeah, we're really fighting, trying to help really love people when people are more skittish now than they were pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And they're less comfortable with someone coming up to them. And so really teaching people to push beyond the walls of their heart in that way.
Right.
So yeah.
That's great.
So I liked how you finished. You said, Jesus' love always works. And that's just powerful. If you don't make sacrificial decisions now, you probably won't later in your life.
Right.
And I think that's very, very powerful. And I thought it was an incredible lesson and exactly what's needed for campuses. What advice would you give for a person that's trying to get their campus energized, getting it going, getting it back on its feet after COVID? What advice? Give us some practicals. Give us some takeaways here. Give us a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Well, I immediately thought, honestly, what Kendall's done. We have 3 kids, so it's very different going on campus. But Kendall, the first semester, probably went on campus every day, and he pretty much was by himself because just the girls work full time, the guys work different hours. So, you do what you can. And so he's on campus. This semester, he's like, okay, I got to go with them. And I've done the same thing. So, which is interesting because now everyone's coming to Bible time. They're reaching out. We're finding people who are saying yes finally. And I just feel like that's such a practical, I think it's so easy. We have to be with them.
Right.
We have to be with the students of the campus ministry. And if you're completely on your own, got to go with faith and go with God and don't give up. And so I think I think that's even taught me wow, we can't just think that we can do all the work ourselves.
Right.
Go be with your students.
So first be out there yourself, but then also try to be with the disciples. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a class on this weekend that we're doing. So we have a whole.
We'll talk more about it.
Yeah, there we
go. And but there's another class that's this weekend. And it talks about campus ministry 101. But it's being on campus, praying, and saving the freshmen. I think that's
okay. So go ahead and dig into it a little bit because it never hurts to repeat. So go ahead and give us a little preview.
Yeah. So campus ministry 101 is. The first one is TOC, time on campus. And there's nothing more powerful than being on campus. And you can't convert people on campus if you're not there.
I thought you could do it by remote control.
People try.
Yeah.
Let's try.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can set up Bible studies without even asking people if you're on campus. And The second one is pray for broken bones, and this praying specific prayers and praying them relentlessly. And then the last one is save the freshmen. And if you want to build campus ministry, you need to find where the freshmen are. And I think we've tried to instill that the last 9 years or 10 years in the ministry. And how do we find freshmen? How do we pray prayers that only God can answer? And how do we spend as much time on campus? And I feel like it works. And it, everywhere we've been, it's amazing. So
that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's encouraging.
Well, Kendall and McKenzie, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for staying late after the program and talking to us. Yes. And all the best to you guys in your ministry. I'm looking forward to spending the next 3 days with you guys, getting to know you better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And baby, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, it was great. And I think you did mention that you were in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were there at Dallas.
What did you guys think of the Climb Conference?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay, this is shamelessly asking for a little promotion there. What did you guys think of that?
Go to the small church conference next time. I thought it was great. I mean, it's interesting because we've only been a part of, I guess, what's considered a big church. And so, but I loved it. I thought it was just very practical, but just really inspiring to do the work. But I loved how everyone had their ideas and they shared them. We're all in this together. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing.
Right.
I feel like there was just so many things that we can learn from each other.
Right.
And that we don't even if I had never gone, I wouldn't have known these things.
That's right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. I probably could sit and talk for an hour about my thoughts on it. But we got to get small. We have to get smaller. And so everyone needs to be a small church leader.
Right.
And we need more small church leaders. I thought it was great, especially being in a big church where we can have these ideas of how to get bigger. And really the truth is, how do we empower small church leaders, even in big churches or small churches? And so I thought it was really great. It just was very powerful. I'm really grateful that we were able to come and learn. And
I'd go again.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, Kendall, just one more question I want to ask you is, let's say you're discouraged, you're down, COVID's really thrown you for a loop spiritually, you haven't seen a lot of baptisms, and you're trying to pick yourself up by your bootstraps spiritually. How do you do it? How do you get up to go, okay, you know what? The campus has been doing poorly for a couple years at least, but you know what? Now it's going to do great. How do you get there? What helps you at least?
Yeah, I think the first thing I think of is my favorite book in the Bible is the book of Habakkuk. And I love the book of Habakkuk, and I think we can make it this super
just what I was
complicated
thinking.
thing. But Habakkuk is discouraged, and Habakkuk is like, God, what are you doing? And God says, I'm going to do something you wouldn't understand.
Right.
And he says, the righteous will live by faith. And I always go back to that of God is going to do something great, something I can't even understand if I live by faith. And it calls me back to that. I think the other thing I think is just, Jesus says, come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, and I'll, give you rest for your souls.
Yeah.
And, if I just do the work of Jesus, there's rest and there's peace. And I think I get most discouraged when I'm not doing the work of God. I rarely get discouraged when I'm doing it. So I think those are things that call me back, that I'm not in charge of the results. I'm just in charge of the work and living by faith.
Well said.
Amen.
Love that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining the Rob Skinner podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please hit the subscribe button and let your friends know about it and how to find it. Because my goal is to inspire you to make this life count, live a no regrets life, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.